everybody, welcome to the football fill-in. Ben Foster's away, so Goldbridge can play, and so can Aston Villa. They're dominant at the moment. Can they get top four? We've also got controversy in the Merseyside Derby, and Chelsea bottle a 2-0 lead against Arsenal in the game of the weekend. It's the football fill-in. Let's get to it. Hello, welcome to the football fill-in there. No Ben Foster this week, so you're stuck with me, Watto and Will. How you doing?
Good,
Will?
mate, you?
Good, yeah. Very, very good. Watto?
Yeah, all good, mate. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, lots to get into. But of course, we're going to start off with the sad passing of Sir Bobby Charlton. This happened on Saturday. Just really sad, devastating news for Manchester United, but also for football. The reason I got into football was because of my granddad and the Busby Babes, and I just think that Sir Bobby Charlton transcends Manchester United and English football, but also world football. I don't think there's many people of a certain age who wouldn't know who Sir Bobby Charlton were if you're in Brazil, America, India, wherever. A fantastic legacy in the game and never be forgotten, and just what a story. But Watto, your thoughts as an ex-player yourself? Any contact with Sir Bobby? Or
never, as in met him for a conversation. Obviously, as a player, I saw him in and around the dressing room area, and certainly in my time as a member of staff at various Premier League teams, when he were obviously fit and well, and a real in the ambassadorial role and working closely with Sir Alex at Man United. He were always in the dressing room area post the games, so I never spoke to him personally, but he were always there and speaking to a few lads who I know at Man United, and that I think he were a real influence on the younger players that had come through the ranks there. And certainly post-game, it's always easy to talk to players when you've won and things are going well, but I think for such a club like Man United, to have him as that ambassador, and when things weren't going particularly well at certain points, he was somebody the younger players would always be able to talk to in the dressing room post games and in defeats. And I agree 100%. Look, what he did for Man United is obviously phenomenal, but I think the legacy he leaves for football, English football, is something that we all need to hang on to, because I think we've all got stories of why we watch football and how we got into football, and it's through parents, grandparents, and obviously he's part of that legacy. And everybody, even younger people, knew who and what he was because of how he conducted himself. And it's a big loss for Man United, but I think it's a big loss for English football. But, now's the time to be grateful for who and what he was, and let's really mourn the guy who brought football home to us.
Yeah, rest in peace to Bobby Charlton. You'll be missed, but you'll never be forgotten. Let's move back to the football at the weekend then, and look, Will, I'm purposely going to go to you first on this one.
Right.
Unai Emery dominance. I don't know whether you watched the game yesterday. Me and Watto did.
Yeah.
Second time, 10 goals in 2 home games for Aston Villa. Yeah. The question I'm going to pose to you is, how brilliant are Aston Villa, but also top 4. I think I got a message from a Villa fan yesterday that they've won like 9 in a row at home or something. Amazing season, Will, for Aston Villa, you Blues fan.
Yeah, always good to talk after a Blues loss and a Villa win. Something funny going on here because it says 0.5 on the running order. We get a little sheet here, but for some reason it's been bumped up the order. I don't know why that has been. I don't know if there's some tomfoolery going on by you two, but yeah, I think the real sad thing for me is they look totally dominant. I think Ollie Watkins in a rich vein of form. He just looks like he can score everything. Douglas Luiz turning into that sort of, we always knew about his defensive work, but the goal scoring, and yeah, they've got a top-class manager. They've got a top-class team. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any worse. It's going to get worse for me, but I really think they could push top 4, and that I'll feel a little bit sick saying it.
It's amazing, really, Watto. I was looking at the next few games. I think they've got Forest and maybe Luton to come as well, and they've got 3 very winnable games at a time where I think Arsenal have got Newcastle in a couple of weeks. City have got a tough run of games. It looks really good for them.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching them play yesterday. I thought it would have
been...
You're
ex-Blues though, Watto. You can't say that too much.
Yeah, that's true, but you've just got to enjoy good football, mate. That's why we're here.
They're all
I enjoyed watching the game. I've always said that I believe that Villa unearthed a gem in getting him in as manager. I think the club are obviously backing him, and he's a fantastic coach. Obviously, it didn't work out at Arsenal, but he's doing things there. In the year he's had, the stats are incredible. I think there's only Man City have got more points in the year 74 to Villa's 62, which is the same as Arsenal. Yeah. It is incredible, and under normal circumstances, you know, you're definitely going to be in the top 4. They were a real team yesterday, and as I said, I thought West Ham would have given a tougher game, but the home record is phenomenal under him. And post game, it were interesting when he did his interview and he spoke about what he wants to achieve in his career, and it's actually not just top 4. He wants to win a Champions League as a manager, and I actually think that Villa is a huge football club, and if they keep doing the recruiting and trusting in him to run the club, which it seems that he's all powerful there. You know, if they keep doing what they're doing and can attract bigger and better players, and they do the investment and the structuring properly, Villa could certainly be a top 4 team for years to come.
October the 30th was when Steven Gerrard got the sack.
What a day that was.
We don't talk about this because he's a media darling, obviously. But I mean, what a mess the club are in. They're in the relegation zone. What he's done in just under a year, or just about to be a year, is incredible. Another interesting stat as well. Douglas Luiz has got 6 goals at Villa Park in a row. He's broken Dwight York's record of 5 consecutive. Sit down, Gabby Agbonlahor. And they've also, but I suppose the question is, are we going to give them top 4? Because I was talking about this yesterday. It's a bit like Spurs, isn't it? It's about, we don't know how much fuel they've got in the tank. Yeah. That's going to be the thing with Villa. At the moment, they justifiably are, you know, a real top 4 contender. But would you put them in top 4 at the end of the season? They've still got European football, which Emery will take.
Yeah, I think the European football is going to be the big one. And they're obviously, like you said, Emery's controlling everything. I think January is going to be so interesting to see. Yeah. Even when he was there last January, I think they only brought in Moreno, and he sort of transformed that back 4 as well. So that's going to be really interesting for them. Top 4, no. I mean, if that happens, yeah, I'll just throw my phone out the window and do a Gary Neville and move far away, so never can hear about anything Villa again. I think.
I don't think they'll get top 4. I think he'll go and try and win the European competition.
That's the only thing they've sort of faltered with, isn't it?
But but I think he wants to win something. Obviously, look, if they get in the top 4, that's like winning the Premier League for Villa. Let's make no bones about that. But I think he's a winner as a manager, and I think he'll go heavy to win the European trophy. I think the recruitment's key, and obviously injuries is going to be key for him. Obviously, they lost Mings, and it looks like he's not been missed too much. But I think if you lose, like Louise, if you lose a Watkins for sure,
even a Matty Cash or something like that.
They're going to struggle because of the squad depth. So it's all about building for them. But I think they've got a real chance at the level that they're playing at to win the European competition for sure.
Do you think they'll get top 4?
I was just going to answer that question. No, I don't. Not in a disrespectful way. I just think that, and I don't think Villa fans would expect top 4. You know, I think it's a bit like Spurs. I think if they can win the Conference League and finish in the top 6, that's a great season for them.
If you can win a trophy, innit? Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they've got to look at trophies. Let's move on then. We're going to move on to my club, Manchester United. I mean, this will be a short section, actually. Did you watch the game, Watto?
No, I didn't, actually.
Well done.
I watched the rugby. I had the rugby on.
Yeah, rugby took over on Saturday evening. Hey, look, I think for Man United to go away, they're expected to win at Sheff United, aren't you? You're expected to win that game. I've obviously seen the highlights and the clips. Sheff United probably did a little bit better than we would have thought before the game. Look, we've just spoke. The emotion for Man United and Bobby Charlton before the game, it would have had a big effect on everything around it. In the end, I thought they deserved to win the game on the moments for sure. I think McTominay suddenly becoming a goal-scoring machine is something that we didn't expect. It's probably the slowest.
I watched the game.
It's the slowest goal I've ever seen going in the Premier League. I think it missed 2 defenders, bounced 4 times, but ended up in the net. And then obviously Sheff United get back in it with a penalty, but Man United had chance after chance, to be honest. And ultimately, for all that, you know, nobody had Dalot coming in and getting the winner. But I have to say, like, if I were the Sheff United manager, I know him quite well, Paul, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with Fotheringham for the goal. I think to get across and I'll get 2 hands on it and ultimately be, I think a Premier League goalie should save that. But in a strange way, it just seemed to fit the day that Man United won that game. And I just felt as though it were always going to be.
I'm glad you mentioned the goalkeeping, actually, because when it first went in, obviously very happy, and I thought, Wildy, but then when you watch it back on the replay, he does get 2 hands on it. So that's just not good goalkeeping, really.
It's not good goalkeeping. You know, we spoke about the game, Villa, just pre this game, and Areola made an unbelievable save at 0-0, which were in exactly the same position.
One-handed, wasn't it?
One-handed, and he tipped it over, and that's what I expected for him to do. So for all United's dominance in that game, it's another error, really, that puts Sheff United, obviously, at the bottom of the table, you know, and you just can't concede goals like that.
And that's the fine margins. You support Blues in the Championship. I think Sheffield United in the Championship would be a good side, but Man United have played badly most of this season. Wolves played us off the park on the opening game of the season. Burnley was a Saturday night game a few weeks ago, beat them 1-0 with a worldie from Bruno, beat Sheffield United 2-1 with a goal from Delo. This is the thing, like Watto says, a goalkeeping error, but also the inability to put the ball in the back of the net. I think both Sheffield United and Burnley, from what I've seen, good teams, well organised, but they get to the final third and they're just not a threat. And we're going to talk about Maguire in a minute, but I mean, he had a bit of a cigar on, really. I mean, Johnny Evans at centre-back for Man United. Johnny Evans played against Burnley as well. You know, they're just not a cutting edge. Is that the jump from the Championship to the Prem?
Yeah, well, we always talk about it, isn't it? You come up from the Championship, if you've got that offensive style coming into the Premier League, you need to adjust it. But to be fair to Sheffield United, that I mean, apart from that Newcastle game, which was an absolute, you know, we can all speak about that. They've pushed Man City to the limit. They 2-1 against Manchester United. So I don't think it's all done so far for Sheffield United. But I think with Manchester United, I think the main one we all want to hear about, Mark, is Scott McTominay. You know, he's turned it around, 3 goals in 2. Chest it down, a bit like Zidane, wasn't it? Chest it down in the box, then a volley into the corner.
You didn't watch the game.
New contract? Do you think new 4 or 5 year contract?
I mean, I'm a bit lonely here, but I'm sure the listeners will back me up. I mean, the stats after the game were like this: passes from the United team. Harry Maguire had about 80, Delo had about 60, Bruno had about 60, Amrabat about 50, Scott McTominay 9.
Nice, yeah. Well, 9 good ones?
9 passes.
Yeah.
He was actually dreadful, but he scored a goal. He's got 3 goals in 2 games. I think McTominay is not good enough to play for a top 6 Premier League club, but as a bench player, as we saw against Brentford, he's got an amazing knack of scuffing a goal in the box. He's just got this ability in the box, and we saw it against Brentford. So I think McTominay's a bench player. The more interesting one is Harry Maguire. You know, there's an amazing stat going around that his win ratio with Manchester United is 94%. I can blow the doors off that straight away. Look at the games he played. You know, you're talking about cup games, relegation games.
He can only play what he's playing, though. You know.
But the whole point is, let's play Harry Maguire in the derby next week and let's see what happens, because win ratios for me. But look, I mean, there's a more interesting stat, Watto. Johnny Evans, last 14 games for Manchester United, won the last 8. Admittedly, some of them are in 2015, but he's won all 3 Premier League games this year. So it's funny that Man United have got Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans playing at centre-back.
I think you can do everything you want with the stats, for sure. And I think Maguire's played in games that, you know, the manager's thrown him in and think we're definitely going to win this game. There's been, obviously, cup games, League Cup games and all that, for sure, to make the stats what they need to be. I think if you talk about the game going next week, are the 2 centre-halves going to be the same next week? I really like Johnny Evans. I think he's a top performer, for sure. And actually, Maguire played well for England in the week, and he did what he had to do. Look, if you're playing 2 good centre-halves against McBurney, you're going to come out on top. Like, McBurney, you love him as a guy. Sheffield United fans love him. He gives you everything. But he's got the level drops in terms of the quality, so it's more of a physical game. I think next week, the derby for Man United, it'll be a different game if them two have to play centre-half, for sure. And all of a sudden, stats and everything will change when we talk about that kind of game. And it'll be interesting to see whether Ten Hag actually really backs them in a game that will be obviously a different level and a cut above from Brentford and Burnley and Sheffield United.
What about the redemption arc there, though? Next week, Manchester derby could be a Maguire clean sheet and a McTominay winner.
That's the game he's got to do it in. Quick 2 questions. Man United in the top 4?
No chance.
Absolutely not.
I worry for the top six, especially with some of the teams that we've spoken about and going to speak about. I worry for the top six for United.
Well, top four is almost the top six, isn't it, Watto? No.
Yeah, no, look, I think they're going to struggle to get top four, but the league the league's really competitive. There might be a couple of teams at the bottom are going to get cut adrift, but certainly if you talk about the top 10 or 12, I mean, there's some really good teams in there, and United always were a shoe-in for sure, but there's no shoe-in this year for them. I think anywhere from 4 to 8, that's where they're looking. I think to break in that top four will be really tough for them.
I think the problem with United at the moment is, and obviously I watch them every week, is that they just don't play as good as Villa, Brighton, Newcastle. We're going to talk about them. They're just not playing good football, so you can't put them in there. I agree, lads. Let's go to Bournemouth.
Wow.
This was a game that gets forgotten a little bit. Lots to get in through today. Gary O'Neill returning to Bournemouth. This sort of feeds in with first sacking. Surely the Bournemouth coach has got to be looking dangerous, Will, at the moment.
Yeah, well, we spoke about it going into the weekend. It was really Gary O'Neill going back and after being sacked by Bournemouth, and we all said at the time it was a ludicrous decision because he came in after Scott Parker and turned that Bournemouth team around, and they were playing really good stuff, some really big wins like away at Spurs at the end of last season. They were absolutely fantastic and could have really built under Gary O'Neill, who was a good English coach coming into the Premier League, doing really well. Sack him, goes to Wolves, that first game where he'd had minimal time in charge of Wolves against Manchester United, and they blew Man United away, and somehow that penalty wasn't given, but less on that. And I think it was great for Gary O'Neill to go back, get the 3 points. And I think at the start of the season I had Wolves in my bottom three. I thought they were going down just because of all the money issues off the pitch, but he's come in, changed it around. He's got a really clear system. The players have bought in and they beat Bournemouth, and good on him. Big to Bournemouth, and well done, Gary O'Neill.
Unbeaten in the last 4 league games, beat Man City in that game, Neto with another assist. I think Wolves are playing their best football they've played in years, actually, under Gary O'Neill. It must be very embarrassing for a team like Bournemouth.
I think Bournemouth, ultimately, not the management now, but their hierarchy would have been petrified of this game this weekend, knowing that really it's going to come back and bite them. Look, Gary O'Neill would have been setting his team and his staff up all week. It becomes bigger than a football match when you feel the pain that he lost his job for no reason. Produced miracles for Bournemouth. He's planning on the summer recruitment and starting pre-season at Bournemouth. All of a sudden, legs whipped away from him, and he would have wanted to win that game so bad. I've been in that position and gone back to clubs for various reasons, and there's an inner drive and a fire burning inside you that you want it. I think for the ownership of Bournemouth, it made them really look really, really poor. I think Wolves have been a breath of fresh air. They're the team this year that's probably had the most points lost on VAR and poor decisions. I think they could have had another 2 or 3 for sure. But they've got a big helping hand in this game with a red card. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. You're not going to get away with a headbutt for sure. Lewis Cook is a fantastic footballer, but he had a moment of madness. You could see it when he's walking off. But it was just written in the stars that Wolves were going to win that game, and I really do fear for Bournemouth now. They're hoping that they can pass Burnley. That's the only hope they've got, because I think obviously Luton and Sheff United might be the ones that drop out anyway, but Luton keep nicking results. But I think Bournemouth, looking at them, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I heard in the summer that it was right to get rid of Gary O'Neill because they've got this hipster manager that's coming in. Well, it's Gary O'Neill 2, hipsters 1. And Bournemouth are in trouble. You mentioned Luton, Watto. Wow. I mean, me and Will do this little competition on trying to pick clean sheets at the weekend, and I was like, Turner definitely going to get a clean sheet. Didn't keep an eye on that game, and it ended up 2-2. What are we thinking, Luton here? Another comeback? They're still going down.
Look, I do believe they're going down, but every time you nick something, it just gives you some inner belief and some momentum somewhere. Look, the game's finished at 2-0. It's the worst goal you've ever seen. I know it goes to VAR and in the end it's given, but it's the worst free kick you've ever seen. But the guy at the front of the line for Forest slips and there's a scramble and it's put in there, and it just gave them some hope. And Forest should have been so far away with it at 2-1. They know they've got everything to lose there. They just want the whistle to blow. We should have won the game 10 times over. I was pleased for Chris Wood. I really like him. I had some time with him when we came to Birmingham, actually, and he did really well for Birmingham in that season. And he's a really good guy. And he'd missed a couple of chances first half, and then all of a sudden he obviously gets through, and he a good finish with his left foot, and he's obviously got a great record with the headers, and he gets a good goal. And Forest really think they've got the job done. For Luton, it just gives them some momentum. I think Forest will be fine. They're a good team, and they'll be really disappointed not to have taken 3 points from the game, to be honest.
I know you'll like this, Will.
Go on.
Forest recorded their highest XG since being promoted back to the Premier League in 2022. As Watto said, it was a big loss. But interesting for Luton, Ross Barkley, Andros Townsend. On the podcast soon, Andros Townsend. Do you think these veteran players are going to keep Luton up?
Well, I think the main one is Rob Edwards as well, because the work he's done to come in the Championship, turn that team around after losing his job at Watford. And then he spoke about it in one of the post-match press conferences of the game recently, like their performances, the numbers are actually all tracking upwards, and they're, coming into this Premier League, everyone writ them off, we did, but I just think that they're slowly getting to the level and slowly getting better, and to score 2 goals in the manner, get the points. And people like Townsend, Barkley, when you get to the rough end of the season, that they could prove the difference.
They're definitely going down, but I did listen to an interview. With their chairman a few weeks ago, and it did make me think that, like, he was talking about where Luton have come from, like where they were. They weren't even in the league, were they, a few years ago? And he said, look, we know what we're doing. We're way ahead of schedule, and actually we're tracking the season, like you say, in relation to what we're doing, getting used to it. And we feel that in the second, I think he said, we feel that in the final third of the season, that's where we're going to get all our points. And I thought, you know what? Fair play to them.
And nothing stupid as well, like Townsend signed till January, Barkley's on a 1 year, so if they do go down, it's not going to be like, Jesus Christ, we need a mass sale. So just smart, sensible football, which maybe is not the most attractive, but yeah. There
we go. Well done to Luton for their point. Right, let's get back to some bigger games, get our teeth into this. The Merseyside Derby. This was, there was controversy in this game, actually. I'm going to hit it straight away. The second yellow card for Ashley Young, but then the non-second yellow card for Konate, Watto. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, 2 weeks ago, we spoke Arsenal, Man City, and we spoke that Kovacic should have had his 2 yellow cards. So I think the referees have had a conflab in the international break. Right, we're going to look at ourselves here. Irrespective of trying to keep 11 men on the field in the big games, we've got to make the correct decisions.
Yeah.
I watched the game. So Ashley Young, definite yellow card, first foul.
Yeah.
He's attacked, the winger's at him, and he brings him down. It's a second yellow card. No complaints, really, not even from Daishi. Happy. Correct. Konate, first yellow card. And then it's a foul, and it's a yellow card, and it's 0-0.
Yep.
And I think Daishi, I don't like managers that always blame referees for this, that and the other, but ultimately, he sent Ashley Young off. He has to send Konate off. There's no question mark about it. It's a second yellow card, and he should have been gone. I don't know what in the world he's thinking about that he can't give him a yellow card. And then you look at the Man City game, Akanji, his second yellow is exactly the same foul as Konate. It's exactly the same. It don't matter what time the game is. Both teams there should have had a red card, and it really will infuriate Sean Dyche. He can't complain about Young. It's the correct decision. Konate, it's got to be a red card. There's no two ways about it. And actually, I thought when he sent Young off, I thought finally the referees have taken something on board from 2 weeks earlier. We're learning from it. And other referees in the league, like the game at Man City, he made the right decision. But why did he not want to send 2 off? It would have been easy for him because he levels the game up and there would have been 4 correct decisions. So he just put himself in a bad position. And ultimately, I thought Liverpool were the better team. But you have to say that Konate not getting the second red card has a big bearing on it when it's 0-0.
Especially at 0-0, like you say. And I think the thing is as well, watching the game, you also saw, Will, that Pawson, who's the referee, knows he's got to send him off. And in his mind, sort of goes, I don't want to give the second yellow card, which is incredible when we're asking for consistency across games, that in the same game, the same referee who's followed his own rule in the second half goes, I don't want to do it. But you've just done it in the same game. It was incredible, really.
Well, it's not just the fact that it was a foul and a yellow card anyway, but the fact that they were on the counter-attack anyway. It was probably a double yellow card. So I thought that Sean Dyche actually spoke really well. He was obviously so annoyed.
He got a yellow card.
He got a yellow card as well. He couldn't believe it. And he was, I think he was at pains to say that it cost him the match, but he said obviously it's had such a big bearing of it when you're in a derby match and you've not had a decision go your way. I think he was very well spoken. But they've maybe take a bit of solace from their performance because they shut up shop, and it wasn't until late on with 10 men. They were so resilient at the back, a proper Sean Dyche performance, but ultimately the class of Liverpool shone through, and they're sort of, it feels a little bit like they're going under the radar, how tight the Premier League is as well. They just keep getting these 3 points, and Núñez and Salah linking up again.
We'll talk about Liverpool in a moment, but just on that as well, just for any Liverpool fans who were trying to say, it wasn't. I mean, I think the biggest indicator that it was a second yellow card was what Jurgen Klopp did. He took him straight off, didn't he? He got Konate off straight away.
When you're that member of staff or the manager in the opposition bench, you just feel as though Klopp's just taking the absolute piss out of you.
He did.
Because he knows the ref's made an absolute blooper.
Yeah.
And rather
than
don't even leave him on 3 minutes to get your pain. Straight off, and he walks past you, and you're thinking, you should have been walking past me, but in 2 yellows, you know what I mean?
Well, it's the equivalent in amateur football, isn't it? Where it happens quite a lot. Like my daughter plays and my son plays, and there'll be a player who's just doing a bit too many tackles, and the ref will come over to the manager and say, just take him off so I don't send him off. And it was a bit like that with Klopp. He was like, straight away, get Konate off. He shouldn't be on the pitch.
The pain of seeing him walk past you, but he's actually not got that second yellow card for Dyche and his staff. Would have been painful. But look, Everton did okay. I think it was harder for Liverpool when it went to 10 because Everton just went into that really low block. So there's no transition, there's no counter-attack then for Liverpool. So there's nowhere for them to run in behind, which is while it was 11v11, I mean, they could have scored 3 or 4 on the transition and the counter-attack. That's where Liverpool are at the most dangerous. When a team sits in so deep against them, which obviously they had to do, Everton, it looked like until the penalty they were going to maybe grind it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but bad decision, but ultimately you're right, Watto. There was a lot of breakaways for Liverpool, and I think you're right, Will. You look at their next 3 games, it's a bit like Villa. The next 3 games, I forget what they are for Liverpool, but they're very winnable games that they're up there. You stay up there for 3 game weeks, you might start to extend it a little bit, the momentum grows. I've been really impressed, I've said it before on this show, don't think it gets mentioned enough that he's rebuilt his midfield. I think that's really difficult to do that in one summer. But one player that's really impressed me is Alexis Mac Allister. I mean, I think the way he runs things, so physical, so tenacious. I think he's a bit of an unsung hero in that Liverpool side. Yeah,
definitely. I think you've even Sabitzer as well. Szoboszlai as well, they've done it as well, and Mac Allister, and it's like such a transformative midfield that they can get to January like a lot of teams. It'd be very interesting to see if they add to it, and really, it's going to be really interesting, this Manchester City run, isn't it, when they get to the end of November, see where they are, and I think a lot of teams will then maybe have a look at their recruitment for January and think, right, we can go at them for this second part of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And as quite rightly somebody said, or maybe I thought it, Núñez assist for Salah. That's 6 assists for Salah.
Lovely.
He likes providing for Salah.
Yeah, you love your stats, don't you?
I do. I read them. Anyway, let's move on to another cracker. The game of the weekend, in fact. Oh, yes. I mean, look, to be honest with you, this was a difficult one to watch for me because I did watch it, but then obviously we had the Sir Bobby news came in just before it, and straight after it, you've got the Man United Sheffield United game. So I sort of watched this game and then sort of forgot about it. So I'm really happy to get my teeth into this because Chelsea, 78th minute, Watto, they're 2-0 up and it ends up 2-2. And I was watching that and I was going, that's one of those games where Arsenal will feel like they've got to win and Chelsea will feel like they've lost it.
Yeah, he'll be devastated when Pochettino, it was the game that he wanted. The 2-0 up in the 78th minute, they've got to that point, right, come on, just see the next 10, 12, 15 minutes, whatever, and win the game. Look, the goalkeeping situation in this game is really going to get highlighted. Look, Chelsea have signed Sanchez. He's a decent goalie. I'm not sure he's at the level to play for Chelsea, and one of the weakest.
Well, he cost him the game, really, didn't he?
Yeah, it's an easy pass that he's trying to get into the midfield, but just the weight of it, and obviously the lack of accuracy, and he just plays it in. And Rice, to be fair, it's a first-time finish and it's a goal, but it gives Arsenal a huge, huge lift from absolutely nowhere. And ultimately, it's a goalkeeping mistake that then just gives the momentum to Arsenal. And in the end, obviously, they get an equaliser. But really, up to 7... Well, first half, for sure, Chelsea were the better team. It's a fluky goal from Mudryk, for sure. But I have to question Raya's positioning for a cross ball like that. It's really poor. But it's a fluke of a goal. But from 2-0 up, Arsenal actually then took the game to Chelsea because they've got nothing to lose. The game's gone for them. And
Equaliser was lovely from Arsenal as well.
Yeah, it's good play, but it all comes from a Sanchez mistake from nowhere. And I think Chelsea will be looking at their goalkeeping department for sure now. They've got rid of Aribazaglia. He's obviously gone and making his way at Real Madrid. But I think they need a goalie that can do more in the Premier League now if they're going to get to where they'd hope to get to. And if you then go back to the Arsenal side with Raya, obviously Ramsdale, that situation, Arteta's really created a monstrous, horrible situation now because Raya looks like he's playing with a little bit of fear in his eyes. He's not doing as well with the ball for sure, but you can't be in that position to allow that ball in for the second goal if Arsenal are going to try and challenge and win the league this year against Man City. So I think that that situation is going to bubble along behind the scenes, and I think Ramsdale's a good guy and a good character in that dressing room, and I think their relationship's fine and all this, but there's something bubbling away there that's just not making it right for Arsenal.
Chelsea have only won one of their last 12 home Premier League games, Will.
Bloody hell. Well, I think the thing with that as well, when it was 2-0, Nicholas Jackson had that chance where he was one-on-one with Raya and he looked about as comprehensive as me going through one goal. It just, you knew he wasn't going to score. Raya ate that up. Even the chance when Raya passed the ball out to Cole Palmer and he just about managed to retrieve it. So Chelsea had their chances, but yeah, the ball in from Saka for the goal from Trossard was great. And then you even look, could Arsenal have had a penalty? I mean, Watto, you're in the keepers union.
That's a great point.
They get all the protection in the world, but as soon as the keeper's coming out, I mean, it's like a Roman Reigns super point.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, helping your cause there with Man United, but
it's not a penalty.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about head injuries now. He absolutely cleaned Jesus out, and did they even look at it? I don't think they looked at it.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Wolves one they had to apologise for, didn't they?
Well, that went to VAR, but I don't even know if this one went to VAR. I just sort of checked on the player, and I think Arsenal should.
Well, obviously, unless you knock 4 teeth out, you're not going to
exactly.
Get it.
Yeah, that's the
but
thing.
Look, anywhere else on the field, if that's an outfield tackle or a challenge for a header or a high foot, or look, it's a free kick or a penalty, whatever it is. If you come for that ball as a goalie, especially on the free kicks, they're trying to keep a decent line, Chelsea, to give him some room to work. So he's always going to be on the front foot and coming. But he's made a mistake and he didn't get to the ball. So if you clatter anybody after that, normally it's a penalty.
Yeah. Quick one then, Raya or Ramsdale, goalie?
I would have to go for Ramsdale because I think Ramsdale wouldn't have got beat with that cross shot, even though it's a fluke. His positioning's poor for that. And I just think he's playing under too much pressure now, Raya. A lot of teams are on the front foot. They're on the way. They're knowing that he's going to play into areas where they got a chance to nick it. And unless Arsenal start to change it up a little bit, I think the pressure's going to become relentless on him. But obviously, Arteta's made his bed and Raya's going to lay in it. But I think there'll be some big calls for Ramsdale to come in because you can't concede goals like that if you're going to get anywhere near Man City this season.
Well,
yeah, I think Ramsdale, just because he had last season, I think he'd have learnt from it, and then this could have been his real sort of breakout season as number one, but not to be.
I think Raya, I think it's Arteta's pick. He's brought the man in. I agree with Watto. He's disrupted a situation that was quite smooth. It's a bit like United, but United did get rid of De Gea at least. I think it's a bit of a mess, and I think he's got to stick with Raya because otherwise it's just compounding his mistake. I feel sorry for Ramsdale, but I think you've got to stick with Raya. But there is a big movement to change it back. Big shout out to Saka though. Last 10 games in the Premier League, 9 contributions, whether it's goals or assists. This guy is just so consistent, and certainly would not be somebody I'd put in the overrated category. So big shout out to Saka and a big result for Arsenal. I'll tell you what, who else got a massive result at the weekend? They started the season off, a little bit below par, but they've destroyed Crystal Palace at the weekend. It's not their first destruction of Premier League opposition. Newcastle, Will.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Eddie Howe and the job he's done there, and that it was highlighted on Match of the Day, that right-hand side, but the way Murphy played a goal and 2 assists is sort of one of them players that I'd forgot. Not that he was there, he's sort of, Dan Burns, the Longstaffs get the headlines, but Murphy was absolutely fantastic, and they just absolutely blew Crystal Palace away. I think you expect a Roy Hodgson team, or you know a lot more than me, to be a bit more resolute, but the way that they were playing, just, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, that's another team we've got to throw in the mix when you mention Manchester United for top 4 or even top 6, and then you've got Newcastle, Spurs, Brighton, Aston Villa before you get to the top 3. I mean, it's not looking good for you, Mark, but that's another point. But yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd say on Murphy, without doubt, the best Murphy to ever play in the Premier League. Watto, this surprised me, this stat actually. Newcastle's best ever start to a Premier League season. I mean, that's incredible when you think about, the old headphone Keegan, and that is amazing, because I feel like Newcastle have slipped a little bit in certain games. Obviously, the Liverpool game, they lost to Man City, but they're right back up there again.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Look, we all talk about how well Eddie Howe's done, and yes, they've got a lot of money from the Saudis, but recruitment's been good again for sure. The stat that I like is that the Newcastle had 8 English players starting and 2 come off the bench.
Yeah.
So that's what we want in terms of the national team going to be something moving forward. We want more English players playing for sure. But Newcastle are the real deal. Look, they would have thought that's a tough game. Obviously, Roy sets Palace up to be pretty strong defensively. But that diagonal ball in behind, it kills any team when you've got legs and runners. And, Murphy it's a great finish. But when you can stretch teams, and watching the highlights of the game, Trippier underlapping, overlapping Murphy, I mean, it was relentless pressure. And he's looking like some player, Trippier, to be fair. And I think that's what, is underrated for him then to, put him at left back then when he plays for the national team, you know what I mean? Because we're so strong on the right side. But he just looks so natural playing for Newcastle as a right fullback, and how he plays is unbelievable. I really enjoy watching him. Look, going up to Newcastle, whenever I've been there with opposition, it's a real tough game. They're real passionate fans. And when they can get behind a team that's really delivering for them now, I think they'll be tough to beat up at Newcastle. But the next 5 games at St James's Park, there, Dortmund, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, AC Milan. If you're a Newcastle fan, you're looking forward to them games, and I'm not so sure them probably 5 teams are looking forward to getting up there.
All right then, Dortmund, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, AC Milan. How many are they going to win that?
I think it's probably win 3 or 4 of those. I think the Arsenal's probably the toughest test out of them.
I can see them winning all the other ones, definitely.
Yeah, I think they'll be disappointed if they don't win 3 of them games.
Yeah. Just that PSG game, isn't it?
They're just so good. Like you say, at St James's Park, they're just so good. I mean, United went there last year. You watch them at the weekends. They're just, the crowd are in tune with the team and the energy. They just never stop running, and they just swallow you up, don't they?
I think that's what I really like about Eddie Howe's team. The intensity and the energy, and obviously they take some of that from the crowd because they're so passionate up there. But the outrunning teams. If you can outrun a team, and you've got better players as well, I mean, you're going to destroy teams, and that's what the best teams have always had. If your best player is breaking all the stats records in your team for physicality, and he's your best player, then all of a sudden the levels just come higher and higher, and you're going to be destroying teams for sure.
Well, look what they did to PSG.
Yeah,
exactly. Other games from the weekend. I'm just trying to think who we've not spoken about.
City, not even mentioned.
I mean, look,
that was a hipsters derby.
That was a hipsters derby, but you know what? I didn't watch it. I was like, I'm not watching this because I think Man City will beat Brighton. I like Brighton, but I think, as we saw at Villa, they're a little bit open at the back. They make mistakes, and it was 2-0 very, very quickly. Watto, I'm looking at Will, but it was 2-0 very quickly. Watto, and I thought that's going to end up being 4 or 5. And actually, I flicked it back on. And I was like, 2-1 into stoppage time. And I was thought, can Brighton get a result that would be really good for the Prem? But I'll be honest, I didn't keep an eye on it enough to be able to observe how it went, whether Man City took the foot off the pedal, whether Brighton were any good.
Not really. When you watch the game, look, I think Rodri coming back into that City team just gels them together. I think we're always going to look back at the end of the season to see if City have won it or not. But if they don't win it, the block of 3 games when he's been out is going to be something they're going to look at. They look a real deal when he's in the team. Look, 2-0 up, they were very comfortable. Brighton are playing expansive football. They're pressing relatively high, nick the ball, have a couple of transitions, and they get the goals. But Brighton kept doing what Brighton do, and they've got very, very good footballers. He's a very good manager. He never lost belief in what he was trying to do. And it's like any game. When you nick one, then the last few moments of the game, or the last 15, 20 minutes, is going to be tough. And Burnley had some half chances for sure. And obviously, at least the referee did the right call with Akanji, second yellow card. But it was so late in the action, there were only a couple of minutes left at that point. So Brighton didn't really...
He probably just wanted to get in the shower.
Yeah, he just wanted to... But he didn't really want to miss the Manchester derby next week. So whether...
He hasn't thought it through, has he?
He's not thought it through. Whether United can get something with him missing, I'm not quite so sure. But look, it's... For the league... it puts Man City back where they'd expect to be, even though they'd had a couple of wobbles. Stats would always tell you that they're not going to lose 3 games on the bounce. So whoever they were playing in that game, we're going to find it tough. But I think the big one for me is that Phillips, has said he wants to potentially leave now. So that's the only way I see him getting anywhere near that England team. So he's not going to get much of a look in at City, I don't feel. So there's a decision for Guardiola to make. He doesn't like it when things get disrupted. So for Phillips to say it and cause maybe a little bit of disruption from behind the scenes, it'd be interesting to see what Guardiola does with that.
Well, he'd be another one for the Maguire stat, wouldn't he? Because I'm pretty sure the games that Phillips has started for Man City, they've probably got a 100% win ratio because they win anyway, don't they? But one more game for you, Will. It's the best.
Go on.
Brentford, Burnley.
Oh, I tell you what,
Whizzer, he delivered.
I was looking forward to this one. I tell you, it was absolutely humdinger. I had all the lads around for this. We had a great old time. Had a barbecue. It was absolutely fun. No, I just saw a match of the day. I think the main thing for Burnley is they are conceding so many goals. And they're not scoring. They're so expansive at the back that Brentford haven't. I think it's their first home win. You said
first home win
of the season. So you think it maybe they could get a point on the road. They didn't. They conceded 3. They're shipping goals, and I really worry for Burnley. I think Luton are in a much better position than Burnley going forward because they've got a clear identity and have adjusted to the Premier League, where Burnley just seem to be like, this is what we're doing, let's crack on, and they're conceding so many goals.
Yeah. One more game, which we're not aware of the result of yet because we're doing this on Monday. Monday Night Football, Spurs against Fulham. Massive opportunity, Watto, for Spurs. You expect them to win this, or Fulham are always well organised?
I think Silva does a good job with Fulham, but I really love watching Spurs this year. It's been like a breath of fresh air. I've kind of always had a soft spot for them, and that's maybe because they've been soft. And maybe I'm a little bit soft in thinking they're kind of my London team.
One thing you're not is soft.
Maybe.
They're inoffensive. You can't offend anyone.
No, I always liked them. I liked going to the old White Hart Lane and obviously the new stadium. There's been a lot of things that I've loved about Spurs over the years. They've always had some great footballers and played what I call proper football. But this year with Ange getting the job and he's transformed the team. Obviously, Maddison's playing at the top of his game. I would expect Spurs to win the game, but it'll be a tough game because Fulham are a decent team. But seeing Spurs playing well and the football, that's what they've been waiting for the last 5-6 years, to be honest with you.
They've been very patient. Top of the league tonight if they beat Fulham, Will?
Yeah, I think 3-0 Spurs. I think it'll be quite a dominant performance, actually.
There we go. I will complete the hat-trick and say Spurs will beat Fulham, but I don't think Fulham are a bad side, but you will lose. Let's see who's going to lose on the quiz. We're ready to go. It's the football fill-in quiz. I'm still top of the league. You're a bit of a... Let's just get on with it. Here we are then, the football fill-in quiz. I'm currently at the top with 3. Ben's got 2. He's not adding to that. And Watto's got 1. Will... You do come on occasionally, so you can open the score today.
Thank you.
And add yourself to the list. And of course, our man with the questions, Jamie.
Hello, you guys ready for today?
Yeah, brilliant that, Jay. Mate. Come on, the quizmaster's got to have a bit about him, Jay. Come on.
He's worried about the quiz, apparently.
You got
Might be too easy or too hard.
Make sure the ears are ready, Jay. Make sure the ears are ready. That's the only
Look
question.
at us sitting back. I know sitting in that chair.
What do you mean? Oh, so you've cheated then, have you? I'll sit forward like this.
Question 1. Who is the only goalkeeper to win a Premier League Player of the Season award?
David De Gea?
No.
That's me then. That's the whole thing fucked.
Peter check.
No.
Say the question again for me, Jay. So
who is the only goalkeeper to win the Premier League Player of the Season award?
I'm really happy with my answer.
I was really happy with mine. You just got to go.
Michael.
Peter Schmeichel was the correct answer.
What's he getting?
What year was that then?
1995-96 season.
Well done, Peter Schmeichel. I did think that, but then I thought I don't remember him winning it.
No, I didn't remember him winning it. But when you guys had gone, I got really nowhere else to go with it, had I?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, United won nothing that year.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he won it. There must have been dog shit.
Question 2. Thierry Henry is Arsenal's all-time goal scorer, but who is in second?
Ian Wright.
Yeah.
Ian Wright. Watto.
What's this?
Those two
Is this a nostalgia quiz, is it? What's going on here?
Come on, Watto. This is
I know, Jay. Don't get too emotional. There's a long way to go yet.
Do a
So
Chelsea.
Stanley Matthews.
That's right.
Ian Wright's got 128 goals for.
It's a good question. I was thinking Ian Wright.
I bet you were.
Question 3. Can you name one of the 3 Swiss players to have won a Premier League medal?
That's a great question.
I know his name. I can't think of it.
Shaqiri.
Shaqiri is the correct answer.
Is that lad at Arsenal? Centre back.
No, it hasn't been at Arsenal.
All right.
No, it
That's
is
not an acceptable answer either.
Gökhan Inler from Leicester,
Inlay, yeah.
Shaqiri from Liverpool, and Akanji from
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
let's go. What is it? 2-1-0.
Yeah.
City. 2-1.
Well done, Will. You're on the board, mate.
Thank you. Let's go. Come
My
on.
problem is vulnerable in the middle. I'm not used to this position. It's like putting a CDM up front.
I think that's where Fozzie's struggling then.
Yeah. No, he's way too. He
Pressure.
loves being in the middle. He thrives on it.
Oh, that's right.
Question 4. Who has the most yellow cards in Premier League history?
Gareth Barry.
Gareth Barry is the correct answer.
Oh, I'm a rolling in my cooking.
I wouldn't have known that one.
He has 123 yellow cards to his name.
That's your classic quiz, that is. Yeah, you get your
You
Barry,
knew that one early, mate.
Yeah, you
didn't
get your
knew
Barry,
that.
your Milners, your classic answers.
Right.
Good one.
Thanks for that.
2-0.
Good, Jay.
Question 5. Which 2 teams play in the Barcelona Derby?
Athletic.
Getafe.
Athletic Bilbao, Barcelona.
No. And no.
Getafe.
Getafe.
Getafe is not an
I know
answer.
the Barcelona team. I just got it wrong.
Barcelona Espanyol.
Correct.
Oh, well played.
Well done.
See, one so.
Just a bit of time to think about it, you know what I mean?
Gracias.
What did you say?
Barcelona Athletic.
Oh, Bilbao.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bilbao playing Bilbao.
Yeah, I thought that one.
Yeah.
And I have been to Barcelona.
Yeah.
You've not been to Espanyol, though, have you?
No.
The Barcelona derby is played between Barcelona and Bilbao.
Hang on, you said Getafe, so.
Yeah, but Getafe, I don't think that's a
You
place
said
in
one
Spain.
club, mate.
If Getafe's a place in Spain, fine.
No, if you said
I
one
think
club,
Getafe's
mate.
in Madrid.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Is it?
We should really ask Tom. Tom's.
Well, you
probably
don't even
the
know where
guy
it
for
is, so you can.
But it's not a place.
It's not in Barcelona anyway.
not
Let's
Barcelona.
move on, Jay. Let's move on.
that.
It's like Everton.
3-0. 2.
It's a city. Getafe's a city. Oh.
Getafe's a city.
Yeah, a lot of
give me
piping
some
up.
background.
Yeah. A lot of piping from someone who's got 0.
Yeah.
Question 6. What is the name of Swansea's City Stadium?
Liberty.
No, it is not called the Liberty Stadium.
Something else.
We're not going to get it, though, because that's what I thought.
Got like a new sponsor name then, has it?
There is a new sponsor.
Bet 888.
No.
The Macron Arena.
No. It is the Swansea.com stadium.
Ah, come on,
The name
Jay.
of the stadium changed in 2021, formerly known as the Liberty
We had
Stadium.
one of these
You can
before.
swivel on that, Swansea.
Yeah,
That's a shit.
I would have give you it.
I would have given it me as well.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, we won't be giving him anything.
I'm out.
Question
Oh.
7. Which former player was known as the Romford Pele?
Ray Parlour.
He got Ray.
Yeah, I think it was Will, unfortunately.
Romford Pele.
Yeah.
You said Parlour.
Ray Parlour.
I went, Parlour.
Do you know why he got given that nickname?
I don't know.
Because he's from Romford. And
He was in training one day and scored a screamer, and Overmars came over to him and called him the Romford Pele.
Wow.
And that was the reason why. And it stuck within the
There
whole
you
squad.
go,
And you were
Jay.
there that day, weren't
I
you,
was
Jay?
there, yeah.
do you want to compliment Overmars these days?
I don't think I was even alive for that.
No, yeah. Not
Oh.
the questions you weren't for. I'm big, Jay, so.
Question
Was that 3-3?
3. No.
I'm still fighting for this quiz.
You can still come back.
What was going to get to
3
question
questions
now?
left. How many Premier League teams have Rafa Benitez managed?
4.
Correct.
Oh,
Oh, you got to go off the instinct.
Smashed
haven't you?
it.
there you go.
Newcastle, Liverpool,
Yep.
Chelsea, and Everton.
That's why I said 4.
Spot on, mate. Spot on, mate.
Was it
3-1-3.
So you could draw it. Yeah.
Question 9. Who was the first Asian player to win Player of the Month award?
Park Yi-sung.
No.
Chowdhury.
No.
Oh, I know who it is. So easy.
Come on, one time. 5, 4,
Can't give him a hint because it's
3, 2.
One.
I don't know.
Son.
Son Heung-min.
Oh,
Yes.
shit.
I thought that's what you said. Who
No,
did
he
you
said
say?
Park.
Park
Yeah, I think that was a bit like cheaty.
No, I thought that's what he said.
What do you mean? What, answering the question?
Because I was in the way and he might have just heard the last bit.
I thought that's what he said.
Archie song.
No, I thought that's what he said. Sorry. Anyway.
He won the award in 2016.
All right. Anyway.
I'm out. 3-1-3.
Is this question 10?
Yeah.
Question 10.
This is the quiz.
This is the quiz. This is the real quiz.
Question 10. Final question.
Levels have gone up, haven't they?
The decider.
since yours been?
Unless I get it right and whack it. I don't know
Yeah,
the point.
you
I might
can.
just
Well,
stay
you
out.
can't. Well, it depends, mate.
We've got a tiebreaker just in case. So,
Yeah, he's good for tiebreakers. Go on.
which former FIFA World Player of the Year became president of his home country in 2018? No,
In what year, sorry, Jay?
2018.
President of his own country in 2018.
Which former FIFA World Player of the Year became the president of his home country in 2018?
Suka.
No.
I was thinking Davos soon.
I thought I'd got that, you know.
Suka. I don't know.
In 2018, so she's got to be Messiah.
I know who it is.
Samuel Eto'o?
No.
Is it Nedved?
No.
No, I don't know. I thought I'd got it.
George Weah.
Oh, he was
Weah.
fine, mate. He was bloody president, wasn't
President
Right, I'm
of
sitting
Liberia.
back. I'm sitting back for the.
President of what? Liberia.
Liberia, yeah.
Good question, that.
Dove in early, didn't I? But I thought I might have got
he?
it.
If you get it and you got to go in.
Who did you say?
I said Platini.
President of France, yeah. Remember that.
Question 11. Mark, you can't answer this question.
I know.
Because I have a feeling...
Nothing changes. This week.
Do you think one of us two are going to get it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's all right.
You'll be able to get it.
Good luck.
All the best, mate.
Intimidation.
Tiebreaker. What club did Ashley Young join after leaving Manchester United in 2020?
Everton.
No.
No, that's shite.
What, say the question again, please, Jay.
What club did Ashley Young join
Oh,
after leaving
I know.
Manchester United in 2020?
Inter Milan?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's go! Hey! Wait, get me on the board now! Stick that on your PowerPoint.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Well done, Will.
Diving in
Win.
too early.
Yeah, you got to go
Sorry,
with your gut.
Watto. Sorry.
Great quiz, Jay. One of the best we've had.
It's always good when it goes to extra time tiebreaker. Well done, Jamie. Well done with your quiz. Well done to Will.
Well done, Will.
Well done to Watto. Well done to Will.
Great day out.
Thanks so much for watching. Ben's back next week. Football filling. You've been a pleasure.